What I'm about to say right now is very familiar to most of you. I mean, we're traveling over very familiar territory right now. And here's a sad fact about human nature. This is definitely a result of the fall. We get familiar with things. In fact, we get overly familiar with things. We get overly familiar with things, and so we get used to things. And as we get used to things, they lose their effect on us. Now, the Apostle Paul does not want us to get used to the gospel. God Almighty does not want us to get overly familiar with the gospel. He doesn't want it to lose its effect on us. He's battling this tragic effect of the fall, this getting used to things by reminding us that at one time we were cut off from God. We were his enemy, doing evil deeds, and he could not even look at us. Verse 22. Look at it with me. He has now. And I need to pause already after those three glorious words. He has now. Those words are glorious because what they say is that God is the one moving here. God is the one acting. God is the one taking initiative. Paul does not say, and then you. He doesn't say it because it's God on the move. Think about this. The one most offended by our sin takes the initiative. Takes the initiative to do what? Look at the verse. To reconcile. He takes the initiative to reconcile. To reconcile you and me to himself. God took the initiative to make peace with his enemies. He brought his enemies to himself. Those he at one time could not even look at, he gathers to himself. And so then the next obvious question becomes, how? How in the world can that happen? How is that possible? How can the holy, righteous God of the universe gather sinners like us to himself? Let's read on. He has now reconciled you in his body of flesh by his death. God sent his only Son into the world as a man so that he could die to pay the penalty for the sins of his people.